Arts Network. Now, that name, there have been tons of people on this show, all right, that are all about. I actually have an episode titled Healing Yourself and Arts and having a real way of how you can heal yourself throughout all this stuff that we go through in life. Can you just talk about, first of all, kind of give us a little bit about your background, a quick introduction, but then talk a little bit about your involvement with the Healing Arts Network and how that came about?
Okay, great. Well, a little bit about my background. Um, 30 years old, grew up in the South Florida area and experienced, you know, quite a few things as far as healing and health is
Hmm.
concerned. I've gotten the flus, I've gotten sick just like everybody else, and it's interesting because we're in a time now where health is like one of the main conversations where it used to be something that people didn't really know much about. And so my life and my experiences have led me up to this point through trial and error,
Mm,
all the way up until the point to where, I'm kind of along the lines of a food scientist,
yeah.
as in I believe in using food to be our medicine and medicine to be our food.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about where my
Now,
mind is
like,
at.
can you kind of elaborate on that though? Because I've heard of nutrigenomics and using nutrition as a way of making sure instead of putting all this medicine in your body. I think for the listeners, they'd love to hear, especially me, like when you say food for your like healing. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Okay, so basically, um, I look at the things that we eat as, it's either going to help build you and maintain you and give you the
Hmm.
energy you need and make you feel good and keep you in balance. And if you are eating things that are not for the human body, then you will put yourself out of balance. So it's me and my circle, we basically see the answer to any problems that you have is basically what puts you in the situation. It's your mouth. So
Amen
and
to that.
it's a lot more to it, but that'll probably take this dialogue to into the 2 hour.
Right, 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 right. Exactly, and that we don't. It's not that we're against that, but we care about you listeners, and we appreciate you tuning in. So we won't do that to you. At the end of the show, we'll put his show notes in, and there'll be a way of contacting him and all that good stuff. So anyway, the Healing Arts Network, though. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about what kinds of things like other than the nutrition? I
Hmm.
know that you guys do a lot of collaborative events and things of that nature. How does all that stuff kind of come about?
That came about because I met the sister Rira, and we were more dealing along the lines of our mindsets. And come to find out, she was also living a similar lifestyle at the time. She was just what people call a raw foodist, and that was one of the many things we had in common. But I used to another thing about me, I used to write rap music when I was younger, and I've always been into words and wordplay.
Hmm.
And her being into poetry and me being into wordplay, that was another thing that we found in common. And I actually like wanted to promote the educational side of this to the general public or to our people, our people in the general public,
Yeah.
and especially the children. And she already has gotten started with creating a platform that children can, and our people in general, can come and express themselves um, poetically, yes, But some people think poetry is limited to just the haikus and stuff like that. But I also actively look for people that, they write lyrics as in like a rapper, and we're open to have people perform as dancers if they want to play instruments. Um, but we're not limiting what type of talent and what type of vibes we can bring to our people. It can be about the nutrition, the health. It could be about the music. There's something that we call sound therapy, which
Mm-hmm.
is also that's also healing. And therapy comes, healing can come in many types of ways. You can be healed by usage of smelling things. They call it aromatherapy.
Yeah, actually,
Um,
I did a meditate actually before, yeah, that Saturday before the event. I did a beach meditation. Shout out to Danny. We did a beach meditation in Boca, and she had the aromatherapy. She put the thing where we rub it on our wrists, and everybody smelled it. That definitely works, just to put the bad energy and the bad vibes away.
mhm. So we both on the similar paths um, of course, first and foremost, we're very practical. So a lot of these things I talk to you about, I've done on myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I take it to people that are open to receive, and I do it on other people, and um, but we wanted to make it a community type of thing, and she's already gotten her platform started. So rather than me create another one, I like to build with brothers and sisters that are already doing it too,
Right.
because I have my own personal things that I into besides um, the healing and the health, and you know I'm also into science in general.
Mm-hmm.
I got into the field working with electricity. I do electrical work because I just wanted to get experience dealing with different elements. So,
Definitely. And but what do you tell people, let's say there's people that are listening in that are very interested in what you're doing, but it sounds like, they're not as into meditation, or they look at people that are into this kind of work as kind of weird. How do you, when you say you make it practical, what are some of the things you do to make it practical for people to just understand it's not anything weird. It's just you kind of heal, practicing healing yourself in ways to help yourself.
mm, well, I just a lot of times people might not be interested in it initially,
Right.
but you don't have to you don't really have to sell it, because either you're going to be interested in it now or you're going to be interested in it later. You know, with with things like, let's say for example, you cut on the TV and you see that there's crime going on. It may not interest you initially, but when somebody breaks into your car, now you say, okay, well, this is hit home.
Oh
You
man.
know,
Wow.
this is in my neighborhood now. So
Yeah.
if we talking about health or healing, or people don't care initially sometimes, but then they come back to me later when they have questions, when they're sick, or when somebody around them is dealing with issues, or they just want to challenge me. you know
Right.
they want to challenge my knowledge or whatever I said that they might have disagreed with. Or some people, like you said, if they're bored, they're looking for entertainment. So feeling good is, you know feeling good is exciting. So if I could give you some information that'll help you feel better, you need the energy. If you want to go party or you want something really exciting and stimulating, you need energy for that. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You know, you
Yeah.
can't dance. You can't dance, sing, play video games, none of that. You need energy. So if I could give you something, and I'm not talking about a pill
Mm-hmm.
or some instant, but I can give you stuff that does work that fast,
Mm-hmm.
actually. you know, but it's up to you if you want to be open minded, or if you're satisfied with whatever results you have in your life. I'm not like a I'm not like a missionary where I have to go around pushing this on people. Some people call me 3 years later and say, "Hey, man, tell me again about those teas you were talking about."
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Tell
the
me
reason
again.
I asked though is because I'm a part of a health and wellness company myself, and I think that that's been the biggest like that's been the most challenging aspect is challenging those people that want to pay like a doctor or pay some subscription. And like there was one guy, he takes 40 supplements a day, 40 different pills a day, and he still wouldn't listen to a lot of things I was saying in terms of how to exercise and heal yourself and things like that. So that's why I figured, hey, it is not an easy it's not easy to get people involved. It's not easy to get people to take accountability to eat right and things like that, because that's just not something that is on their priority list until, like you said, their car gets broken into, or they have a health issue, or they have something that's happened, and now, okay, oh shit, it's important now, right?
Mhm. Well, one of the things that I found that was extremely important for me as far as that goes is
Mm-hmm.
just having patience with people, because a lot of our people they're mentally sick in the sense of they've been traumatized to respond to life situations in those ways where they'll become addicted to, like you said, if somebody's taking 40 supplements a day, that sounds like an addiction to me.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything I'd like to put in my body 40 times a day. I wouldn't listen to a song 40 times a day.
And what's
I,
sad about it is he was actually a distributor for a different health and wellness company, and he was actually recommending stuff to other people. So though, like, he's high up on a certain company, like works with doctors and lab reports and things like that. So he's doing it, and then he's instructing others to do the same thing, which is what really got me interested in what you guys are doing, because that's scary. You know what I'm saying? That he's
yeah,
actually one of the people that's high up and pushing product.
yeah. I just have patience with people, and one of the things you'll find in business is you got to have a target audience.
Yeah.
So you're not targeting people that don't want to receive the message unless you're going to be scientific about it, meaning you're going to investigate the dynamics, the detail. Let's use this guy for example.
Mm-hmm.
I would inquire certain things from him and get enough detail to where I can approach him in a different manner, because obviously my first approach or second approach, it was not penetrating, you know. So how can I penetrate the mind and the heart and the spirit of this person?
Right.
Um, so I would ask him questions, I would ask him all kind of questions, not just about what the act that he's doing. I would ask him about his background. When maybe, for example, when is the first time you saw somebody take pills? And you never know, that could lead into a backstory of him watching somebody else be addicted to pills.
Right.
So that's the psychological side of it. You dealing with people. I deal with a lot of people on a health tip, just like a person who would be dealing with a recovering drug addict would. You got to do
Mm-hmm.
investigation, because our people are traumatized to the point, I could say they sick in the head. This is what Western society has bred. A bunch of consumers, people, some
Oof.
people addicted
Amen.
to.
Amen to that, brother. A lot
So
too many. Yeah, too many consumers. Too many.
Yeah. So addicts, you know, and not to call him an addict, but you gotta call it what it is.
You gotta call him that. You gotta call him that.
You have to approach, and people who you want to get interested. Like, some people are addicted to stimulation. This is a hyper stimulating society. So you have to know how to reach them in a way, just like you teaching children. Some children learn by audio. Some children learn better by audio, better by video. Some children learn better by hands-on. So you gotta really scientifically dissect people to really learn what makes them tick, and then you can start planting your seeds that'll grow over time.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. That's really good advice, and it kind of leads me into the next point that I want to talk to you about, because this was brought up at the poetry night. Uh, she asked about some of our African American, some of the most influential African American people that have kind of touched your life and made it so you're able to walk or just take a different path. Because I was a vendor, I felt kind of bad. I didn't want to hog the mic, but my what I wanted to say was Muhammad Ali. Because because of him, I'm able to do a lot of the work I'm doing now when it comes to working with the athletes and, creating a boxing curriculum, things of that nature. But with that, I kind of want to pass it to you, because I loved what you were saying. So if you can kind of repeat or fill the listeners in on some of the African-American males, females that have had an influence on you.
Mm-hmm. So the first person that I named was Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
Who was actually Muhammad Ali's teacher.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of made me, because I was thinking of it, and then you said, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it should be. Ali.
So, Elijah Muhammad, and by the way, these brothers, when you got into their classes and got into their higher circles, they eventually stopped calling themselves African Americans, as in, these brothers referred to themselves as Asiatic black men, the original man of the planet. And at one point in time, these are the teachings of the nation under Elijah. So I'm just talking about their perspective, because you have different people that have different time frames. So some of these brothers called themselves Moors, and they would have Moorish names. For example, Malcolm X, he changed his name to I believe it was Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz.
Shabazz.
Yeah.
Shabazz.
Yeah, the term El is a Moorish term. He took on a Moorish name. But anyway, Elijah Muhammad, he wrote a book called Message to the Black Man in North America. And it was a very powerful book at that time. The people that did come across that book, no doubt, and to this day, everybody agrees that it was very profound and life-changing. But he influenced people like Dr. Sebi, somebody you might know in present time.
Mm-hmm.
He influenced Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi was under Elijah Muhammad too. So this was a brother that taught black men basically. He raised the minds of people from the dead. For black men that were out here, like Malcolm X, that were gambling, pimping women, getting into all kind of degenerate activity, eating anything, eating all types of pork and stuff that makes you sick.
Right.
Elijah Muhammad taught brothers how to carry themselves like gods. how to eat healthy, how to um, increase their vocabulary and increase their way of thinking, how to, study and
Mm-hmm.
be students and read, how to defend themselves, their community, how to love being original men, how to love their melanated skin.
Right.
He taught all these things in a time that in that time people were being hung from trees,
Right.
even until today, but simply for the color of your skin. And a lot of people didn't want to be that. A lot of people didn't want to be black.
Right.
Being black
Yeah.
can get you hung from a tree. So
Right. And that's what I love about his is that, everybody has their style of leading, but with men like him, there was an example that I still think we need to this day is that we got to build up our own coalitions. We got to start building up stuff together and start being proud of the things we got. It's like I just posted it this morning is we got to recycle that black dollar, because when we recycle that black dollar, there's a sense of pride that makes it so we attracting people, and we just don't have enough of that. Like, there's just not enough. I think Nas said the rhetoric of Dr. King ain't just ain't around no more. So I didn't mean to cut you up. Just when people really start talking about language, I start going on tangents. But go ahead, man. You just talking some good stuff. Good.
nah, it's great, man. We building, and if I cut you off or I don't mean to be disrespectful to your platform at all. Um, and if I disagree with you, I
Right.
don't have any malice intent. Um, but Elijah, speaking of recycling the black dollar, Elijah Muhammad also had a economic plan that it was very powerful, man. And the Nation of Islam back in the early up to the mid 90s acquired a lot of land. They acquired a lot of farmland that they would feed their people with naturally organic grown crops. And he was very big on having your own businesses and creating your own goods to sell to your people. And a lot of these Muslims, they acquired wealth and they're good and their families are good up until this day. You know, so as far as the economic plan, man, that's the message to the black man in America. Goes into a little detail, and if people do want to get an idea about it, they can go there and read that.
Eh,
Oh, go
What's the
ahead.
name of the book again?
It's called The Message to the Black Man.
The Message by Elijah Muhammad. Okay, I got it. Definitely on my
Yeah.
list for sure. I actually read. It's funny because I just did an episode where I was talking about the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley, and I was just kind of, a lot of times on this show I do a lot of solo episodes, so I was just talking a little bit about my biggest takeaway from that book was when he was in prison, and he would read book after book after book after book, and that was when he was able to grow, and that was when he was able to figure out how to really create pride and understand that knowledge of self is the most important thing that we can have. We have to really have that peace, inner peace, to go out and make some great, great things happen. And it's still true to this day. Doesn't matter, what you think you do or who you think you are, how much money you got, none of that shit matters. It's like you really got to have some real self-knowledge to have a solid foundation and then go out and do so many of the things that we try to do.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Right.
that's the truth, man. Before you get started on anything, the knowledge of self is the place to start. That's the journey you want to embark on. And when we say the journey or the place to start, what I mean by that is some basic things you could do. You can find out where your elders are from, where your parents, your grandparents are from.
Mm-hmm.
Where were they born? Where were their parents and grandparents from? What languages did they speak? What were any accomplishments they may have made in their lifetime? What were qualities about them that were good or bad? What were they known for? What type of work they did? Where
Mm-hmm.
did they, you know, if they migrated, when did they migrate? Around what time? And that'll be a good place to start because you get your genetics from your elders. You get not just and the sister Rira says this quite often is you get not just your looks from your elders, but you get these genetic traits from them as well. Your
Mm-hmm.
DNA, comes from your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, and great 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 grandparents.
Right. And that kind of leads me into the next point I want to talk to you about is with group therapy. What can you just kind of tell people what's next, what they can be expecting coming down the pipeline? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but just to kind of give them a refresher, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to connect with you and Rira and just kind of be a part of what you guys got going on.
Well, the aim for groove therapy, as we spoke about at our last event, is to bring edutainment to our people. It's like I say, we know we live in a world where people, they are on the plantation a lot. A lot of our people are overworked and they are tired of the same monotony of all these things that they didn't ask to be a part of. It to some people they may not describe it in this word, but it's like like they're on a corporate plantation or modern day slavery where you working to pay rent and working to live. So a lot of people look for instant relief, and so we have the part of the economy that is very wealthy. It's multi-billions of dollars in entertainment because people want relief. People want to relax their minds and their bodies. So, and with that, some people they're not entertained by education. Some people are bored. So what we try to do is we try to edutain people, where we educate them in the process of the entertainment. So for those that are looking for entertainment from poetry, from gathering with their brothers and sisters, we bring that to them, but we also bring a message to our people. And what you can look for down the pipeline would be, of course, a growth and expansion of our location. We do plan on getting a bigger location. And it has a very, very good look, a very good decoration and theme to it now, but we plan to switch it up and have it looking even better. We also plan to have new up and coming poets, some poets that we may not have introduced yet, and poets with different messages that can advance our people, stimulate their minds, bodies, and souls, possibly their genitals.
Oh yes.
Because we have different themes for our poetry, and we have sensual seditions for men and women, and we'll have those around February. Around the Valentine.
Perfect timing, yeah. I was just about to say, perfect date night. Take your significant others out there for sure. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You better expecting me with one for sure.
Yeah. So we have those. We have the of course, we just had the Black History all year long, which I think we might have to change that to our story and not his story. But we're gonna have, like I said, more people gonna be doing different things, not just poetry. We're gonna have people doing all types of whatever their talents are, dancing, singing. Um, we're gonna have the children in there, because this is a family friendly thing.
Right.
It's not just for the adults, it's not just for the men or for the women. A lot of people think that poetry is something that women are more so into, unbeknownst. I talk to a lot of brothers. I try to get the rappers to come out, and the first thing they say is, oh, it'd be a lot of women in there, or that's for females. Like,
right.
Nah, man. Like,
yeah. I can see us brothers saying that for sure.
Yeah. So the children are definitely invited to come and perform. It's some children out there with some talent, man, and we want to get them exposed. Give them a platform where they can show off, and they can have build a portfolio. They can have that in their little portfolio. It's like, I performed here, I performed there, I performed that group there.
Right. That'd be, my niece would love it. She sells her own candles. She just turned 12, and she already has her own candles that she's selling. So definitely gotta stay in touch with that. Let me know when you guys ready for a motivational speaker. I am in. Just hit me up. I am one phone call away, my man. Before I let you get out of here, though, just how can people get in touch with you and keep up with your journey and all that stuff? You can go ahead and put all that out there.
Okay. You can if you want to reach me, and it could be me or Rira. As of now, we basically call the shots with the Healing Arts Network, and she has Trinity Holistic as well. That's more so centered on the health and nutrition and wellness side. As far as group therapy goes, you can go to Rira's website if you want to become a vendor or if you want to perform, which is www.reramagicim.com. It's RERAMAGICIAM, ReRaMagicIM. And there, I believe it's at the bottom. I'm not completely sure. I don't have it in front of me. Don't quote me.
I can include it in the show notes.
You can reach. You can fill out an application there. You can reach us at the Healing Arts Network on Instagram. And I don't have the name in front of me. Forgive me. But we
totally have. Well, yeah, we'll put it all in the show notes.
We generally have somebody else operating that for us right now. So, and sometimes she does the operation personally. So you can reach me at the Amin Rira on Facebook. Our Facebook name is Amin Rira. And if you type in Amin Rira or More Union Fashion, our page will come up. That's our page that's dealing with something that we bringing in the future as well, which is going to be on the fashion side. Starting off with women, but then it will expand to the men. So I'm also Vidal Castro on Facebook. That's my personal page, but people can inbox me there as well.
That's Vidal or Feed. How do you spell it?
It's Videl. Vidal.
All right, Vidal Castro.
Castro, yeah. So the L is also, like El Haj Malik Shabazz, Vidal.
All right. My man. Hey, I appreciate you jumping on, man. This was great. We gonna heal a lot of folks with this episode, and again, more specifically targeting